Hey, what's up, guys? Roberto here, and today we're gonna do a different style of, or different format, if you will, of reading the story out. Before it was with images. This time it's gonna be just like reading it out. Tell me what you guys think in the comment box, okay? So I'm gonna start it out right now. So this next story is a true story of a Nigerian man who was brutally scammed by his Thai girlfriend out of thousands of US dollars. This story is full of deception, lies upon lies, and betrayal. This story should be used as an example of what not to do when dating, visiting, or traveling in Southeast Asia. Here it goes. My name is Emmanuel, and I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. Now, although we're known for being the home of the scammers, in this case, I was the one getting scammed by my Thai girlfriend out of millions of Nigerian naira, which equal to thousands of US dollars. Now, you may be asking yourself why I would give her that much money, and how growing up poor in Africa, I was able to amass such wealth to travel and end up being robbed of thousands of US dollars without me even knowing it until it was too late. It all started for me, like I said, growing up in Lagos, Nigeria. I was there until the age of 16, and although we didn't have much, my parents gave my siblings and I the bare necessities. At age 16, my family and I immigrated to the land of milk and honey, the United States of America. My parents were typical, traditional Yoruba Nigerian parents who drilled in us the importance of education and the value of hard work. I finished high school in America, and since I could remember, I was always into computer programming. I was a whiz at HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and a few other languages. And by the time I got to university, I was ready to conquer programming. After getting my degree in computer science, I landed my first job, and as the years progressed and I improved my skill set as a programmer, my salary increased, and I was earning well over 6 figures. I rarely traveled since starting my career as a programmer, except for a few trips visiting family back home in Nigeria. So I was well overdue for a boys' trip. I had just broken up with my Vietnamese girlfriend of 4 years, and my friend suggested we take a trip to let off some steam and take my mind off things. So we all agreed on Thailand. I guess you can see a common thread here with my love of Asian women. Needless to say, Thailand is known as a paradise for adults, and I was all for it. We were all set to go for 2 weeks, and my friends would head back to work, and I would stay working remotely for another 2 months or so, depending on how things went. The day came when we all met up at the airport, enthused and excited on the fun that's about to come. I'm pretty sure you guys had the same experience or feeling when first heading to Thailand, the land of smiles. Thailand's reputation spans generations, and my friends and I had our sights set on heading to Pattaya, Sin City on steroids. We landed in Bangkok and ordered taxis to take us directly to Pattaya. Don't get me wrong, I've heard of Pattaya women and was in no way, shape, or form about to get into a relationship with one of them. To put it bluntly, I was just wanting to bust some cheeks, and cheek busting is what I did. The day that we arrived in Pattaya, we settled in our hotels and decided to head over to the Central Festival Pattaya Mall to check out the vibe, and then found this really cool restaurant along the way named Steak 39 Pattaya, where we had some chicken pop and a whole platter of food for next to nothing. We headed back to our respective rooms and took a quick nap to rest and recharge before heading out later that night. I woke up around 7 p.m., texted my buddies to get ready, and we headed to the foyer. My friends had already started the party, if you know what I mean, and I was the most sober one out of all of them. We caught our tuk-tuk that dropped us off directly in front of the beach. When we got out, it's like the place had transformed into South Beach or Vegas, but in this case, it was rows upon rows of professionals, if you catch my drift. Women of the night. I felt like a kid in a candy store with so many options. We decided to make our way to Walking Street to see what it was like, to see what it was all about, and boy did it not disappoint. The drinks were flowing, and by the time we made it out of Walking Street, I saw a gorgeous Thai woman walking past me. You know how us Africans are. No, you know how us Africans like our women, thick and juicy. I couldn't resist. I waved over at her, and she stopped, which was a good sign. She spoke really good English, and right away told me I'm not a freelancer. if that's what you're looking for. I then, surprised, replied, no, I'm not, even though I really was. Then she said, what are you doing here in Pattaya? I said, vacation. I then posed to her the same question, and she said she was from another city, Ubon Ratchathani, to be exact, but lived in Bangkok and just came here to hang out with her friends earlier that day in Gotland Island. She then proceeded to tell me of how many guys harassed her that day, asking her how much for a short time, how much for a long time. And she got tired of it. Thinking I was the same, she was taken aback. I couldn't be happier to have found a normal girl. I guess it was just my luck. I happened to find the needle in the haystack of all these 304s. Her name was Pepsi. Now, I knew her real name wasn't Pepsi, per se, but if you've ever been to Thailand, you would know all about their quirky nicknames. Anyways, we introduced ourselves, and I quickly asked her how much longer she would stay, and she said she would be there for another night. So being that she was a normal girl, I asked her for her line ID and her WhatsApp. And I also asked her if she was free to hang out tomorrow, which she replied yes enthusiastically. As she walked away, I can see my friends looking over at me, confused. They thought I had struck out, but I really struck gold. They went home with some professionals they met on the strip, and I was excited to get to know Pepsi further tomorrow. I had my electrolytes and went to sleep, and when I woke up, I had no hangover and was full of energy. Pepsi and I were set to meet downstairs at my hotel, where she would pick me up on her motorbike. She asked me where I wanted to go, and I told her I didn't know. So she told me we would go and check out the most iconic place in Pattaya, Sanctuary of Truth. Once we arrived, I was amazed at its beauty, and we took a group tour and took a few pictures. We then headed over to the Khao Chi Chen Buddha on the mountain. It was absolutely breathtaking. While we were headed to the third stop, Wat Phra Yai, on this random tour, the thought came across my mind while holding onto her waist as she was driving the motorbike. Damn, she's really alright. She's attractive, attentive, caring, and a genuine person. This was a date not like any other I had in my life. As I was looking above the Pattaya viewpoint, I started to understand why traveling changes everything. Your perspective, your outlook on life, and its possibilities. Not just because I met a cute girl that seems to like me, but for the fact that women are not all the same. Different cultures breed different women. And Pepsi, as corny as it sounds, made me feel important. After a long day out and not looking at my phone at all, I was left with what seemed to be hundreds of messages, text messages from my friends and coworkers, asking me where I had been all day, and I respond to them that I respond to my friends that they'd be on their own tonight, and I'd spend it with Pepsi. Pepsi came back to my place to shower so we could head out for drinks, and I went to the shower first, and she was hanging out on the bed just texting. After a few minutes or so, Pepsi walked into the shower with me, and you can guess what happened next. It was absolutely amazing, and we continued on what seemed like every inch of the hotel room. At this point, I was infatuated by her. Her smell, the way she carried herself, and her irresistible personality. Call me a simp, but I thought she was the one. And I know, just after one date, right? I'm sure I'm not the first one or the last one to get swept off his feet by a Thai woman. Once she went back to Bangkok, we continued talking for 2 weeks that my friends were there during our trip. Once our boys' trip ended and my friends went back to the States, I decided to stay in Bangkok so Pepsi and I could continue seeing each other. Weeks passed by, months passed by, and we were now a couple. Work was going great, and my 2-month stay had now lasted for well over 6 months. Pepsi was originally from Ubon Ratchathani, a city in northeast Thailand, known as Isan, or a province, sorry. Pepsi worked online in social media marketing, so we both worked remotely. She decided to ask me to meet her parents and family members. I was a bit hesitant on how they would receive me, being that I was a black guy, Nigerian and from America, which depending on my experience has been good and bad, with most Thai women being curious and some just giving me dirty looks when I walk by. It's human nature. I don't believe in victim culture like most Americans do, since we Nigerians are a proud people. After reading the book, The 4 Agreements, I have memorized the second agreement: don't take anything personally. If I get good looks, neutral looks, dirty looks, those are agreements that individual made with their life and conditioning. And they don't know me. It's literally been my invisible shield that I have as I go about my life. What a smart guy. The day came when Pepsi and I went to Ubon Ratchathani to meet her family. They were so nice to me and asked me a lot about my culture and food. Pepsi was my Google Translate. We got along really well. They liked the fact that I was educated and had a good job. This also cemented in my mind that we were on the right path to marriage. My parents were in Abuja at the time, and I called them to update them on how I am and to introduce them to Pepsi and her family. I told them it was serious and that I was thinking of proposing. My parents told me they were happy for me and asked me when I thought I was gonna do it. While back in Pattaya, where it all started on the beachfront of Central Festival Mall, I got down on one knee and proposed to Pepsi near the same place where we first met. She cried with tears of joy and said, yes, I was so happy in the moment. I was amazed at how quickly I loved her. The feeling was mutual. Pepsi moved in with me in Bangkok and we had talks to build a house in her hometown in Ubon Ratchathani, where we could go to rest and relax when the city life was too much. She asked me to take out 85,000 US dollars, just over 3 million Thai baht, which calculated to about 137 Nigerian naira for all my Nigerians out there. The money was in a safe place that I kept all of my important documents in, and the money I took out for the house we would build. One of my friends who previously visited Thailand with me came back and wanted to hang out, so we said that we would meet up in Phuket. We had a blast until one night I met a hot girl in Patong that came back to my place, and you know what happened next. I felt so guilty the next morning when I woke up and I told my friend. He told me to shut up and not to tell Pepsi what happened at all. But being the idiot I am, I told Pepsi the day after it happened when we had a phone call. She seemed to not react how I thought she would react and hung up the phone. Next thing I know, I was blocked online, blocked on WhatsApp, and blocked on Facebook. After 2 days without talking to her, I cut the trip short and went back to Bangkok to find my safe emptied of my watches and the money for the build of our supposed house and my laptop gone. I was furious. I know what I did was wrong, but this was completely effed up. My entire collection of luxury brand watches, my laptop, and nearly 100,000 US dollars was gone. You may be thinking exactly what I was thinking. Why didn't she fight me more, argue, yell, or something? I feel like she used this cheating incident as an excuse to do what she already had planned for in the future. Did this put a dent in my wallet? Of course it did. But if it were anybody else, they would have been financially ruined. Was it karma or just plain bad luck? Who will ever know? I went back to her hometown to see if I could locate her, and funny enough, when I went to the same place that I met her family before, I was greeted by an old couple that was bewildered by my questions and said they never knew anything about a Pepsi. Okay, wow, that's crazy. That's when I knew that this was all a lie, and that although what I did was wrong, she was playing the long game, and my mistake just sped up what was the inevitable. In hindsight, when I think back to when I would ask her to visit her place, she would always make up excuses about her place being dirty and messy and that my place was better. Probably so I wouldn't know where she lived. What a crazy story that happened to Emmanuel, right? So what happened to Emmanuel is what you call scammers playing the long game. You're always told about the quick tricks, the theft of a wallet, or women using you for gifts, right? Simple things. But there are some women out there that plan and scheme for a bigger prize, like Pepsi did with our Nigerian brother Emmanuel. Was he in the wrong for what he did? That's for you to decide. I think he was wrong. But I'm pretty sure Emmanuel's going to be a loyal Coca-Cola customer from now on, right? That's for sure. Aside from the jokes, this story should be a warning to you fellas to stay on your P's and Q's so you don't fall into the same predicament as Emmanuel did. I hope you guys enjoy this new format of making videos. Please comment in the comment box what you think about what happened to Emmanuel and if you have any similar stories. My name is Roberto and I'll catch you on the next story. Bye for now.